Mother, tell your children not to walk my way. Tell your children not to hear my words, what they mean, what they say.
Hello, and this is Truthslayer, and for the first time, yes, for the first time since I've been on here, I'm going to actually do a review of a Pro Wrestling Guerrilla event. I've been asked to do Pro Wrestling Guerrilla reviews before, but I try to keep the reviews as up to date as I can, and there really hasn't been anything this year that I have gotten. And the one time that I have tried to get some stuff from this year from Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, I still haven't gotten it, and it was about a month ago, and I still haven't gotten any word back from them, so I don't know what's going on there. But I did buy some stuff from High Spots though, and that magically got here. And so we're going to go on with the tag team title tournament that was this early, I guess it was in June, I believe, or no, it was May. Back in May, it just now came out. They had some problems with the people making the DVD for them, so it took them a while to get there. So this is the review of the Dynamite Tag Team Title Tournament, Night 1. This is Night 1, and let's get on with this. I'm a big fan of tournaments. I'm a big fan of tag teams, so this was something I was looking very forward to, especially since Pro Wrestling Guerrilla is most notable for their Battle of Los Angeles tournament, which they have been putting on now for 3 years. And by all accounts, even this year's is extremely good. The last two, 2005 and 2006, have been amazing, and there are two shows I have, and I would definitely recommend checking those out. There are a few others that I would recommend too. I don't talk a lot about Pro Wrestling Guerrilla only because I think they've been around 4 years now. There's about probably maybe 15 DVDs that I would recommend to anybody. Meanwhile, you have Pro Wrestling, you have Ring of Honor, which, you know, there's probably, if I was to count all of them up, there's almost 100 DVDs that I could probably recommend to people. So, kind of see the off balance there. But let's get on with the review of this show. This, of course, is Night 1. We start with Don Fuji versus Dr. Ichikawa. This was a comedy match. It was an okay comedy match, though. Not anything that I would go out of my way to see. I wasn't bored with it, but I definitely was just kind of there. And the problem probably the biggest problem I had with this comedy match is the problem I had throughout the entire show, which was this first night's crowd was not very good, in my opinion. They basically were just sitting there watching. It basically looked like a crowd that had already gone through like 4 hours of wrestling, and then they were getting like 4 more hours of wrestling. But this was funny. This was okay. I wouldn't call it great, but this was definitely just kind of okay. And a nice little comedy match, especially by two Japanese guys, of which I had not seen very much of, so it was nice to see them. And it was funny. It had its moments, and though I've definitely seen better comedy matches this year than this, so nothing I would go out of my way to say, and I would give this 2 stars even as a comedy match. Then we had the Briscoe brothers versus the Kings of Wrestling, Claudio Castagnoli and Chris Hero. I was looking extremely forward to this. I could not believe this was the first match on for the tag team tournament. But then they went out there, and you know, these two teams are capable of going out there and putting on a 4-star match easy. They went out there, did their thing. The fans were just kind of there. I think that was part of the problem, because all 4 guys kind of rely on feeding off of the crowd, and there wasn't much to feed off of with the crowd. So this wasn't that great. It was there. It was good, and it was given time. I think it was given a little too much time, but it wasn't anything marvelous. Actually, I thought this was probably the worst match as far as the tag team tournament goes on Night 1. But still a good match. Still a good match. A 3-star match in my opinion, but definitely not what these two teams could do. Then we had Gino Gambano versus TJ Perkins. It was the first time I think that I had seen. No, I've seen Perkins before. This was again an okay match. This was nothing great or wonderful. Nothing you need to go out of your way to see. Definitely, I would give this 2.5 stars. Nothing, you know, again, nothing wonderful or great. Then we had another tag team match. The Havana Pit Bulls with Ricky Romero and Ricky Banderas and Rocky Romero versus the Trailer Park Boys of Josh Abercrombie and Nate Webb. This is the first time I've seen really Josh Abercrombie in a match similar to this. This was a very good match, definitely better than the Briscoes, or not a very good match, but this was a good match, better than the Briscoes match and the King of Wrestling match. A lot of good spots, a lot of good hitting, some nice funny moments in this. A pretty entertaining match. Again, the fans just were a little more into this than the first match, but still not into it as much as I would have liked. Still, this was a pretty solid match. I had to go 3 1/4 stars on that. Then we had undoubtedly the match of the night, Bryan Danielson versus CIMA. This was a lot of mat wrestling, a lot of good mat wrestling. This was, you know, even though I didn't think the crowd was very good, this was an excellent match. It's good, you know, first time apparently these two have ever wrestled, and I'm surprised Ring of Honor has never done this because, wow, these guys worked really well together. It was fun to watch, and you know, I love mat wrestling. I love when you just get two guys in there and all they're doing is mat wrestling counter holds. It was a little slow, and that's the reason why I won't probably rate this higher than a lot of people probably would. But I felt it was slow in some points, and so I'd give this 4 stars. Then we went on to another tag team match, Arrogance of Chris Bosh and Scott Loss versus the Muscle Outlaws from Dragon Gate. This was the match from the tag team tournament of the first night, in my opinion. I liked this a lot. I thought this was good, solid tag team wrestling. Lots of nice little spots. Not lots of the fans were a little bit more into this than they were in some of the other matches. Very fun, good tag team action, which is what you would get a DVD for this to be. And I enjoyed this a lot. I would definitely give this 3.5 stars. Then we had Ronan versus Joey Ryan. I like Joey Ryan. I never have been big on Ronan, but Ronan, you know, this was okay. Again, this was kind of a throwaway match. I felt I'd give this 2 1/4 stars. I just was not into this. I don't think the fans were really that much into it as well. Then we had Super Dragon and Davey Richards versus Pac and Roderick Strong. Very solid match. Lots of good action, lots of good fan interaction. Of course, you know, Super Dragon pretty well over in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, to say the least. Pac was pretty well over, as was Davey Richards and Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong and Davey Richards definitely know how to work well with each other. It started out with them doing a lot of good mat wrestling, then it just kind of progressed. So finally, it just had a really good finish. Another good match. This wasn't great, but definitely another good match. I would definitely put this at from 3 1/4 stars. And another just good, solid wrestling match. I felt a lot of the tag team matches I felt were given a lot of period on this card. I felt were just given far too much time. And given that they were given far too much time, I think it really hurt the show in some degrees, because I think if particularly the tag team matches had been given less time, it would have felt a little crisper, a little faster, and there was times when they just slowed down to a crawl and they would speed back up, then they would slow down again. It's a little uneven for me. Again, I think a lot of that had to do with the crowd. The crowd. And I watched this a couple times. I watched it with the commentary. For those of you who've never seen a Pro Wrestling Guerrilla DVD, you can turn the commentary off or you can turn the commentary on. The commentary is kind of tongue-in-cheek commentary. But so I could just listen and make sure that it wasn't just me not hearing the fans, and it wasn't just me. The fans were just not really into this for whatever reason. Then we had the main event, which was El Generico versus Kevin Steen. This was solid. This was good match in my opinion. A 3-star match. Again, I think the fans not being really into this show, or seemingly being into the show, just kind of hurt this in my opinion. I felt it was there. It was nothing really special. They did pull out some nice little stuff during the match, but it wasn't anything that I would just, you know, go ooh ah. Overall, I would give this the DVD for night 1. I would give this an 8. An 8. I thought that it was, you know, it had a lot of good solid action. It had one good great match, and CIMA versus Bryan Danielson. The tag team matches, all of them were good. Some of the other stuff on here, you know, was okay, but nothing horrible on this. And definitely, you know, worth checking out. Just night 1 itself, worth checking out. I will be putting on a review of night 2 and giving my overall thoughts of the tournament. So there we go, and talk to you soon. All right.